Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Rachel, and this week I'm sharing 6 of my family dinners, including one cooked by my husband. All of this week's recipes were quick, easy, and delicious.
Gravel road, I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do you know how? Piles of paper, my desk is out. Who will care for the world now? Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Oh, how I love when it rains outside, and it's okay to slow the ride. Discover books I forget about, but who care for the world now? Rest with me, close the curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree.
Tuesday night, I was at work. I picked up a shift, and Bill was in charge of making dinner. So he was surprisingly cool with making a video while he made dinner. So here he is just browning up some sausage in a skillet. And then once it was all done, he added a bag of shredded hash browns to that and got them all mixed in really well. And then for this dish, he just added some canned sausage gravy to that and then topped it with some cheese. I'm kind of laughing at the corner with no cheese for Cameron. We can't be the only household. I know there's others of you out there that have to leave a cheeseless corner. And here is the finished meal. And this is his plate, I'm guessing. And when I got home at 9:30, I had some of it, and I told him it would have been the perfect dish for back in the day when we used to go out on the town and have a few cocktails and then come home wanting breakfast. This was perfect. It was very satisfying and just a really good breakfast or breakfast for dinner. And this is just my husband being silly at the end of his video. The next dinner that I'm making is in my cast iron skillet. I am making a Philly cheesesteak tater tot casserole. And to start off, I am just chopping up some onions and getting those started in some oil. And I am making some of these onions ahead of time because I knew the next day I was going to need onions for the next meal. So I just made 2 onions worth, I guess that's how you would say it. Chopped up 2 onions, threw them in the cast iron skillet, and then removed half of them and set them aside for the next day. When I had my onions all cooked down and translucent, then I added 2 pounds of ground beef. And once it was all cooked through and the oil was drained off, then I added some Worcestershire sauce. A couple dashes. More than a couple dashes, I guess. But I also added a small can of sliced mushrooms. Now, fresh would have been nice, but I didn't have any, and so I am using the canned, and they were just fine. And I'm also just adding 2 packets of au jus gravy mix to this skillet, and then just give that a stir and get that all incorporated. And then I just added about a half of a pouch of water to this. I was a little worried because sometimes when you make a dish with ground beef and then you add it to the oven to heat it all the way through, it gets really oily, greasy, whatever you want to call it, and it just is too runny, and I didn't want that to happen, or I wanted to be able to drain it off if it did without losing all of the gravy. And so now that I've made this, I guess my meat was lean enough that I could have put more water into it, and probably should have. But anyway, moving forward, I am just now putting some provolone cheese slices on top of the ground beef, onion, and mushroom mixture. Normally I would have put green peppers in this also to be more like a Philly cheesesteak, but not everyone in the house is a fan of bell peppers, so I didn't. And then here I am putting the tater tots on top. So this may be the first time ever in my life I have lined up tater tots on a tater tot casserole. I usually just dump them and don't think about it because it really kind of irks me to do things perfectly. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so if I can't do it perfectly, then I just don't do it at all. And so it was kind of painful with my ADHD to even do this in the first place. It's a little bit of a struggle for me to watch it. So I will speed it up here so that we can get on with it. And so I just went around in a circle until I had all of the tater tots arranged. And then I get to the end and they just kind of didn't fit right. So I have one that's out of place. And see, that's the kind of thing that bugs me. But we live through it. And my daughter, this would bother her more than it bothers me. So I'm sorry, Hillary, if you're watching. I know that there's one that's not in line, but it tasted just the same as the others. After the tater tots are all arranged, I put some cheese on top before I put it in the oven. Now, I probably should have waited, but I'm so impatient, and this is where I kind of mess up. So I put the cheese on top and then baked it all at the same time, when I probably should have baked the tater tots for a while and then put the cheese on the last few minutes. And so what happened is it made a really crispy crust on top, but it was fine. We kind of liked it like that. No problem. So it had this crispy cheese topping on top of the tater tots and then the melty provolone cheese in between the tater tots and the meat. It was really good. I really like the flavor of it. And I'm just breaking up some of the tots and getting a spoonful. Get on my fork. There you go. Oh, wait. Nope, get back here. Now we got it. Yes, this was really good. For the next meal, I'm making pulled pork quesadillas, and I'm just using this Jack Daniel's pulled pork that you get in the refrigerated section at the grocery store. I did heat it up in the microwave before putting it on the quesadillas. So I have my tortillas folded in half on a skillet with some oil. And so I'm just going to open that up and I'm going to put the cheese down first because I like to have a little layer of cheese on each side of the quesadilla to be the glue, so to speak. So next I'm just putting some of the pulled pork on top of that cheese, and then I will put some of the cooked onions that I made earlier the day before and put that on this one. I'm making Dawson and Cameron's quesadillas first, so I will put onions on Dawson's and no onions on Cameron's. And if Cameron had his way, it wouldn't even have cheese on it, but I let him know that, you know, the cheese is the glue. And he was fine with that. He actually liked these and he didn't complain. He ate it all. So just doing the same on the other side. And meanwhile, the bottom part of the quesadilla is cooking. and getting all nice and brown and toasty. And I do have to flip them over. That's the only downside of making tortillas like this. I know that other people have different methods where you don't have to turn your quesadillas over, but this is how I like to make them. So I don't think I have the footage of me flipping the quesadilla over, but you get the idea. And I'm just cutting these quesadillas into triangles for the boys before I get their plates ready. I don't always make their plates, but sometimes I do like to play with their food too. I had debated on whether or not to make these quesadillas with dill pickle relish or sweet pickle, whatever, some kind of relish or pickles inside of it. I do like my barbecue pork sandwiches with pickles or relish, and I thought that would be really good, but I didn't want to mess it up and have dinner go wrong. So I didn't do that with these, but I did have pickle on the side with mine. And so looking back, if you like pickles with your barbecue pork sandwiches, I say go for it because it really did make it so much better to me. And we just had some of the Velveeta shells and cheese. That was Cameron's choice when we were at the store. And then I made some corn to go with it. I don't like to make corn and mac and cheese together because they're the same color and it's not very appealing on the plate. But it is what it is, and that was our dinner. And I'm just showing you, or trying to show you, what the inside of these quesadillas look like. These were so yummy. I was just in the mood for some barbecue, and these came together so quick and easy, and I didn't have to put any thinking into it. It was an after work type of meal, and the kids liked it, so it's family friendly. It's fun food, but it's good food. Yeah, there's the pickles, and they just kind of set it off for me. And we've been having some really rainy and cold weather, and I'm kind of loving it. So I got my crock pot out, and I had some of this um, bagged up pre-cooked chicken in my freezer. I bought it before for a different recipe and somehow got 2 bags of it. So I thought I would use it up today and make some chicken and gnocchi. I have the frozen gnocchi in the freezer. I also had a partial bag of frozen peas and carrots. I had picked out some of the carrots when I made my clam chowder. And so here I'm just adding a couple spoonfuls of better than bouillon chicken flavor to the bottom. And I'm just going to put in about a quart of water to that. Since I'm not cooking my chicken from the raw stage, I knew that I wouldn't have that flavor in there, so I just added the bouillon. I have a very little bit of minced garlic left, so I added some water to the jar and just swished it around and poured that in, and then just put my bag of chicken in, and then the rest of the peas and carrots that I had on hand. Next, I just cut up an onion and put that in there. I do not recommend cutting an onion in your hand, but I will just let you guys know that this is a very dull knife. I mean, it is sharp enough to cut an onion, but it's not sharp enough to cut my skin. So that's the only reason that I am cutting this in my hand. I don't want anybody to do what I do and get hurt, because you probably have knives that are sharper than what I have. And your hands will smell like onions if you ever cut an onion in your hand. But I guess I was just thinking that there are worse things my hands could smell like, and I did wash my hands several times while I was cooking. I always do. I always touch everybody's food. Well, I mean the food that I make, and I do wash my hands plenty of times, but I don't know. Just don't cut an onion in your hand like I do. It's not safe. My grandma cooked like this. I guess I'm just channeling her these days. I don't know. Next, I'm plopping in a can of cream of mushroom soup. There's only one way to say that, because all cream soups, when you add them to anything, they just seem to just plop in there. But anyway, so a can of cream of mushroom, a can of cream of celery, and a can of cream of potato soup is going into this crock pot. Then I give it all a stir to get it all mixed up. I love to mix up my cream of soups, and cream of celery is one of my favorites to use. I don't like to eat celery per se, but I do like it in cream of celery soup to get that flavor. So that's why I use cream of celery most times, anytime that I'm using cream of mushroom. So a couple pinches of salt, and here comes the pepper. Yeah, I like it a lot. Once again, just giving it all a stir to get it all mixed together. Then I am adding these potato gnocchi from the freezer section, and these are still frozen, but I know this soup is not going to have to cook and boil or whatever, so these gnocchi are not going to melt away. Obviously, you wouldn't want to put them in this soon if you had to cook your chicken from the raw state, and anyway, your gnocchi would disappear if you did. But mine were fine because I'm basically just bringing everything up to temperature and getting it all cooked through. This really was the perfect dinner on a cold and rainy day. On Friday, I was just about done with cooking for the week. I felt like I had it, like I just did not want to cook again, but I had to. And so I decided to make a really easy Spanish rice, and I just cooked up my 2 pounds of ground beef and drained it into a foil-lined bowl, and then transferred the drained beef back into the skillet. And I just decided I wanted a really easy to prepare meal that I could make up fast. I wasn't feeling well. I didn't feel like cooking. You know, you have days like that. So I'm using 2 boxes of the Zatarain Spanish rice mix. So the seasoning and everything, the rice and everything are all just in the package. So it can't get any easier. Just mix that in with 3 cups of water, like I said on the box. And then I'm using some of my jarred salsa in place of the can of tomatoes it said to add if you want to jazz it up, you know, the Zatarain slogan. And so I have some onions and hot peppers in this salsa. It wasn't very hot at all though, really. And then when it was all done, this is what it looked like. It was just a really simple and quick meal to throw together. And I had mine with some avocado and some sour cream on the side, and I just topped it with some cheese, and it was dinner. Oh yeah, and I put a little bit of Taco Bell taco sauce on mine as well. Forgot about that. And this is the end result. Just giving you a little closer look. And Bill really liked this. It was a good, simple, easy way to get dinner on the table fast. And that was the last meal for this week's video. I thank you all for coming by and supporting my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.